have been some of your failures and what have you learned from them?
Failures, oh my God. I think I have committed every failure a budding entrepreneur would probably commit. And it took me a long time. Like Dr. Lin, I had a tough time grappling with the fact that if somebody were to correct or criticize, I kind of took it a bit personally. I was a bit defensive. I didn't know if they were really my friend or they were just trying to put me down. And that was a revelation that really changed my perspective, changed my life. And now, just about anything that goes wrong, I'm always questioning myself first. It's like, it has to be me. The reason why we are not as successful is probably because there's something lacking in my ability as a leader, as a manager. That's why we are not where we really want to be or ought to be or should be, whatever the case may be. So I'll just share, I mean, in a company, in a business, you'll go through different stages, and I think that's a really key part, and I'll cover some in the next few questions. You know, you've got your sales and marketing. I think what Claudia said about hiring, that was, you know, as a business owner, you have to really hammer down your HR strategy. That is something that, and it wasn't that it was the wrong person or they did not deliver. It was my fault because I hired them. So how can you blame the other person? You had full opportunity to interview them. If you did not do your job correctly, I don't think we have the right to blame the other. And that was a big revelation because I didn't know exactly, you know, I followed the books and the general convention and all this, you know, delegate, you know, that's another big thing that gets thrown out. Every person will tell you to delegate, but not understanding the context, not letting things go, you know. I desire for perfection, right? You're an entrepreneur, you want to do things the best way, but you know what? There's a very famous author called Seth Godin. He wrote The Purple Cow. He says, ship it. Ship it meaning get it out. Get it out of the door. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. If you wait for perfection, you will probably die in the process. Too many initiatives. You know, you want to do everything. You know, every person who tells you something, you know, you want to go out and do it because, you know, you think you can handle it. You're a Superman. That's why you became an entrepreneur. But that's a fallacy. Never decide what you're not going to do before you decide what you're going to do. You know, if you narrow that list down, your chances of success are going to magnify significantly. You know, when you're young, and just like one of you guys, I thought, you know, I know everything. You know, I'm bright, and not having enough appreciation for wisdom and experience. You know, I thought I could do it. You know, why do these gray-haired people have to help me? And, you know, there is something to be said about that. You can get skill. You can get knowledge. You can't get experience and wisdom by just attending school or something like that, which is really something that gets applied in the real world, even more today than it was in the dot-com or when the economy was just booming. I think there's something to be said about that. And we need to recognize the people who traveled that road before us. And, you know, sales, right? Everybody thinks, you know, I want to go out and sell. And every dollar you get is great, right? That's the entrepreneur. I mean, that gets you money in the door, which you think is great. However, let me say I disagree with that. You got to differentiate between strategic versus tactical. And it depends on how successful you want to be. If you want to simply pay your own living expenses, let me tell you, you're not a business owner. You're self-employed. There's a huge difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. A lawyer, an accountant, those people are self-employed. They're not business owners. And what will happen is you'll be successful in the beginning and you'll think it's going the right direction, but you'll have very tough time scaling that business because you got customers, you got revenue, you got money that did not fit into your big picture. And those people can actually hurt your progress as opposed to helping you. And defining what's strategic, and if you do make those choices, and if you do decide that you want to do business, but know that it's tactical and it's not strategic. And unless you differentiate that, and planning and strategy, very, very important. I would say, I did not read this book that I thought everyone who ever wants to be an entrepreneur should probably read, and I'd recommend it to the dean as well, to add this to the book library. It's called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. He's a very famous author. I think it's a Bible for small business. E stands for the entrepreneur. And the biggest lesson that he wants to impart here is, actually I'll quote it, the fatal assumption that an individual who understands the technical work of a business can successfully run a business that does that technical work. Meaning, if you are a good carpenter, it does not mean you can run a good, successful furniture company. You may be a great cook, does not mean you would be a successful restaurant owner. And I think that's a key differentiation. Thank you.